Hey everybody, this is Perch. Marvel has revealed the new Avengers team, as we've been talking about for a while. Jason Aaron is wrapping up his run with the multiversal Masters of Evil. Basically, it's multiverse madness all the time, multiple variants of every single character, villain, etc. I haven't been a fan of this, either this, ending capping storyline or the whole Avengers BC concept or the Phoenix tournament that gave Echo the Phoenix powers, or the Moon Knight takeover of the planet, or Heroes Reborn, or World War She-Hulk, or any of the other kind of bananas things that have happened over the last 2 years or so. But let's talk about I want to, we'll reveal this Avengers creative team, who's on it, who's doing the comic, what the roster looks like, and then very interested to hear your opinions. Do you like it? Do you not like it? So basically, as very suspected, particularly after the story in Timeless, writer Jed MacKay and his old cohort, C.F. Villa, who I believe worked with him on Black Cat. I think that was when the two worked together. They are the new Avengers creative team. So we can expect to see C.F. Villa for at least 2 issues, maybe 3, before we get a replacement artist. I'm joking, but actually not joking at all. C.F. Villa is one of Marvel's Stormbreakers, which is the fancy title they give to artists that are sort of mostly kind of exclusive. I don't know. I have to imagine there's some, hey, we made you a Stormbreaker, and this is going to be great for your career, and that's why we're paying you less, but I don't know. And then probably the thing that irritates me the most, and this is my own personal thing, I'm sure your mileage may vary, artist Stuart Immonen, who is incredible. I love that guy. He's no stranger. He did some Avengers comics back in the Bendis days. He will be on covers. And this is his first Marvel work in several years. And here's, this is where I'm super pissed and frustrated. Not super pissed, but just why the covers? So we bring back these talents. We get Greg Capullo to come back. We're doing this, and they're put on covers. I don't want to see them on covers. Quite frankly, if you told me, hey, the cover is just going to be the logo. It'll be a white background or black background or just a single color background and the logo on there and a giant number 3 on the comic. That's all it is. No art. But inside, you're going to get Stuart Immonen on everything. He'll be doing all the interiors. I'm like, yeah, sign me up for that. Sign me up for that right now. It bugs me because you hear from Marvel, you hear from people. It's like, well, a lot of these creators, they don't want to do interiors. Like Alex Ross, that's why we have him doing so many covers, because he won't really do interiors. And then he goes off and does this Fantastic Four book on his own, Full Circle, and it does great, and he's doing all the interiors. The one that I heard, it's like, I was saying, whatever happened to Alan Davis, man? I love Alan Davis. It's funny because Alan Davis is not one of those talents that comes up a lot when people are going through their list of favorites. You got your Jim Lee, your Todd McFarlane, your John Byrne, your Walt Simonson, and Alan Davis doesn't come up. But for me, he's on that Mount Rushmore of comic artists. He's incredible. And right now, if he went to a monthly book at Marvel or DC, that's going to be one of the best drawn books that month, if not the best drawn book. So Alan Davis is incredible, but we hear like, oh, he won't do a monthly book, he won't do a run. Okay, except he is right now doing that Avengers Lost in Time book, and we'll talk about that in another video. But it looks incredible. So why the hell can't you just put some of these classic artists on the books? They clearly want to. It's not a pay issue. I don't get it. It drives me crazy. What did you get? To get Alan Davis to just work for cheap? Anyway, Stuart Immonen, and I'm sure those will be beautiful covers because he's a great artist. But I'm at a point where it's like hard no. I don't want my money going to cover artists. Put them on the interiors. This idea is stupid, and frankly, the entire idea of having a hot cover artist is somebody who's going to draw somebody in from buying off the newsstand. You don't sell to the newsstand; you sell to the direct market. So it's bullshit. This whole thing is bullshit. Anyway, let's get to the roster. So the new Avengers team Here's the plot summary. It says Marvel's greatest icons will assemble when they're gifted with knowledge of the tribulation events, a series of grand-scale disasters that will spark upheaval throughout the known universe. Along with the so-called missing moment that's been in the timeless story that Kang is off searching for, the Avengers themselves must survive the first of the tribulation events, the fall of the Impossible City. The world ever in peril, a new team of Avengers mobilizes to meet any dangers that threaten the planet. But when Terminus attacks, Terminus is an interesting villain because I think Marvel's always kind of wanted him to be a big deal and they've kind of positioned him as a big deal. But then when the stories actually come out, he's defeated relatively easily. I don't know. I like those stories. I like a lot of the Terminus appearances, but they weren't very notable. But anyway, when Terminus attacks, a new and insidious danger rears its head, one that the Avengers know all too well, and one that comes to them in the most dangerous of guises, that of a friend. So basically, we're definitely getting a big overarching Kang storyline. And our, Jed MacKay says this is big, loud Avengers stuff. Nothing in this story should ever feel small or inconsequential, and our lineup reflects that. Heavy hitters and iconic Avengers are to the fore. The tribulation events are coming, and only the Avengers can take them on. And this is this first issue of Avengers #1 is relaunched because it's a brand new #1. It is coming May 17th. So, out the gate, right before we get to the roster, I'll say that I don't want nothing in the story should ever feel small or inconsequential. That's up to you as a writer. Big giant cosmic events or having a multiversal Masters of Evil like Jason Aaron's been doing, or other kind of stuff. It's like it's like they're taking their cues from the movies, where the Avengers have to be the biggest threat in the history of all the threats. Except a lot of the little stories, the ones that were, one and dones. Yes, I'm not a huge fan of one and done, but still a lot of the smaller stories that were done through the decades are ones you remember. So I don't think this idea of like, hey, we got to have the entire reality as we know it coming to an end, and that's our Avengers story. It's like you can also do smaller stuff, and this isn't even throwing it back to the 90s when Bendis came onto the title and relaunched it with New Avengers. First off, you had some brand new characters getting a chance to shine. You had Luke Cage, you had Spider-Woman, and even characters like Spider-Man and Wolverine getting a kind of a shot at the Avengers. It was them in a different light. Part of the original plot was a bunch of villains, big and small, escaped from the raft. The Avengers got to go clean it up. He built this secret invasion storyline in the background, as a subplot for quite a while. But we had a bunch of issues where it wasn't the end of known universe. And that run, for all the heat Bendis gets, is at least the beginning of it. It's remembered fairly fondly. So, I feel like this is a trap that people get into, and particularly with the Avengers. It's like, that's the big flagship movie, so we have to make it huge. Anyway, our roster here includes a team leader of Carol Danvers. Captain Marvel is our team leader. Sam Wilson, Captain America. The Vision, the Scarlet Witch, Thor Odinson, T'Challa, Black Panther, and Tony Stark, Iron Man, are the team. And on one hand, I think Scarlet Witch and Vision on the team like this will be helpful. I've done other videos and I've given this commentary before, but I wouldn't have Black Panther here. I think Black Panther, I think it's a bad idea to have him on the team. I think he could do an incredible James Bond like spy thriller in his own title that would be a huge sales hitter. And I think it's a mistake to have him here. I also think it forces the writer to have to come up with scenarios that are weird. I mean, you got somebody who can manipulate reality. You've got a god. You've got kind of all these massive heavy hitters. Captain Marvel can fly through space, etc. And so you've got to come up with reasons why the Black Panther's there. And I get that Marvel's kind of trying to make him their Batman, but you can do a lot by him. I mean, I would argue if you go over to DC, the Batman in the Justice League is a much lower seller, less interesting these days than Batman in the solo title. The numbers reflect that. Anyway, here's I'll just say I'm sure people aren't going to love that Carol Danvers is the leader, Captain Marvel. I think Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, has rehabbed a bit in the last couple of years. I'm sure she's still not a lot of people's fan favorite, but the character has been written better. I'm not a fan of Kelly Thompson, but the title has been written better, and the sales, again, reflect that. And then they moved away over the last 3 years from, I think, something that was a huge trap for them in 2016, was they needed to overdo it with her authority. And so you had her coming in just barking orders, and they had to have her very, like, I'm a general now. And they did the same thing with Sam Wilson when he first took on the Captain America guys in Remender's run. Suddenly, you got this guy who's always been a pretty popular, fun, kind of unique personality character as the Falcon, and then now he's a Marine drill sergeant and he's barking orders. And I think I expect fully in this comic that they do that again with both characters, quite frankly. And it feels always like the writer's insecure. Like, I know this isn't the Captain America people expect, so I'm gonna double down on the military aspect, even though that's not really part of Sam Wilson's background in the comics. Captain Marvel, yes, she was an Air Force pilot, but also if you look at kind of the adventures where she was most popular, she had her own personality. She just didn't come in as like, everybody form on me, watch your six, this kind of stuff. Let them grow. So I feel like that's going to be a screw up. Anyway, Jed MacKay on this book, yeah, I think kind of one last piece of commentary. It feels pretty clear to me that Donny Cates was the writer that they were intending for Avengers before his issues. It kind of forced him out of the limelight. I wouldn't be surprised if it heads back there in a year or two once things, with hope and theory, clean up. I think Jed MacKay's nothing wrong with him as a writer, but it's a jump for him and a pretty steep one. So we'll see how she handles it. That could be a plus, all things considered. But are you interested in this version of the Avengers? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe, of course. And thanks for listening.